Before we get started, make sure to turn on post notification and subscribe to the channel. 10 former WWE stars who are thriving elsewhere. Number 10. James Ellsworth. James Ellsworth is the perfect example of what the power and spotlight of WWE can do for a wrestler, with Ellsworth going from an unknown talent on the independent scene to a name that every company is trying to book for appearances. Ellsworth utilized his time in WWE to perfection, ensuring he created as much hype around himself as possible, and it paid off. Once his run with the company ended, Ellsworth created his own intergender championship, which allowed him to be booked for tons of comedic spots. Knowing how well he could play as a heel, he has also been booked on countless shows to simply frustrate crowds, just as he did at Impact's Wrestling's Bound for Glory event this year. And overall, he has just done a great job of staying relevant. Number 9. CJ Parker. Many fans may have actually forgotten about CJ Parker, who wrestles in NXT using a hippie gimmick and was mainly used to put over bigger names such as Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, but he always had great talent. Since leaving WWE, he has really been able to showcase that, so much so that WWE is reportedly very interested in having him back in the near future. Now working as Juice Robinson in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he has totally changed his gimmick for the better. Robinson has become one of the big highlights of New Japan this year, with his fantastic promo ability and his excellent match against the likes of Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, helping to put him on the map as a major star for the future. Number 8. Emma. It was a huge shock when WWE decided to release Emma, as she was one of the most talented wrestlers that the company had. Yet for whatever reason, management didn't see that for her, and outside of NXT, she was given very few chances to shine. Thankfully, she has made sure that since leaving, she has thrived on the independent scene, putting herself against some of the very best female wrestlers in the world and putting on incredible matches on a regular basis. Emma has also become a crucial part of Ring of Honor's emerging women's division, of which she is a marquee name, something that's only helping her grow following her WWE career. Number 7. Wade Barrett. Following his time in WWE, Wade Barrett hasn't actually wrestled, but he has kept his links with the wrestling business by having several general managers roles, helping to improve the thriving British wrestling scene. Barrett has worked as a GM for Define Wrestling, but his bigger role came when he took on the same position for the return of World of Sport, a huge show in the UK that he was perfectly suited for. As well as that, Barrett has been growing his name outside of wrestling, starting to make movies in the acting world with some small movies, and his commentary role on Netflix Beastmaster show alongside WWE alumni CM Punk. Number 6. John Morrison. If you saw John Morrison wrestle in WWE, it shouldn't really come as a surprise to know that he's thriving away from the company. His in-ring work is second to none, and he really has the ability to put on a world-class match with anyone. Morrison has moved around from place to place, putting his name, which changes everywhere he goes, out there to a wider audience. Morrison has become a top star for both Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling, and has actually improved vastly from his WWE days. He, just like Barrett, has started pursuing a career in acting, which has in turn really helped his promo work, making him an even better wrestler, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see him back in the company soon. Number 5. Austin Aries. Austin Aries walked out on WWE due to being fed up of his position in the company, but he has quickly gone back to how he was prior to joining Vince's company, and that is being a top name that every company wants on its roster. Aries became the belt collector on the independent scene, going around the world, winning the world championships everywhere he went, proving just how good he was, and his role in Impact Wrestling's recent growth could not be understated. Of course, Aries did recently walk out on the company during the Bound for Glory main event, but despite it being a poor move, unless it turns out to be a work, it has still got everyone talking about him. Number 4. Simon Gotch. Simon Gotch was quite a controversial character in WWE. While his in-ring work was solid enough, behind the scenes, he was rumored to be a trouble causer who had a poor attitude, with many former WWE stars complaining about him. Despite that, Simon, who has changed his name to Simon Grimm, has focused on getting back to the basics of wrestling and none of the drama that was seemingly clouding judgment in WWE. Grimm has managed to put on some fantastic matches and even caught the eye of Ring of Honor, who has brought him in for several dates, which is a great sign for the future of his career post WWE. Number 3. Nevel. Unlike most wrestlers who leave WWE, Nevel has played his hand very differently and has massively worked in his favor. Rather than coming out and doing the first podcast available, trashing the company, Nevel totally stayed in the dark. He didn't give any hints as to where he was going or what he was doing, and instead just randomly appeared at Dragon Gate, getting everyone talking about the company when he made his return to the promotion where he made his name, looking just as good as when fans last saw him on 205 Live. Nevel, now working under the name of Pac, has the entire wrestling world talking about him and what he's going to do next, which is exactly what he needs. Number 2. Rich Swan. It seemed like Rich Swan might have struggled to get his career back on track after the negative press that surrounded him, leading to his WWE departure, with the domestic violence situation changing many people's opinions about him. After almost quitting the business entirely, Swan has managed to turn things right around and become a top star once again, letting his wrestling do the talking and not having any more negative situations surrounding him. Swan has thrived everywhere he has wrestled, from MLW to Impact Wrestling. Swan has gone back to doing what he does best, lighting up the wrestling world with his brilliant personality and fantastic wrestling skills. Number 1. Cody Rhodes. Never before, and likely never again, will we see something quite like what Cody Rhodes has done since walking out on WWE. Cody bet on himself and has totally changed the game for doing so, becoming one of the biggest names in wrestling and going from a mid-card wrestler to a genuine main event star. Cody got the world talking when he created his list of dream opponents, going around the world, ticking it off one at a time. But it is since he joined Bullet Club that he has taken things to another level, with the amazing being the lead series leading Cody to the NWA Championship, just like his father at a sold-out event that he helped create All In. Now the entire wrestling world is hooked on whether or not he will return to WWE, and if he does, you can guarantee he won't be in the same spot he was before he left.